Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to prevent getting the flu naturally. If we haven't met yet, my name is Pam Bartha and I am the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. And I'm very happy to spend this time with you because yes, fall is upon us and the winter season will be here before we know it, and so will the flu season. And many of us that suffer with chronic disease, we know that if we get the flu, it really is hard on us. A lot of times we notice that normally when we're sick, we have fatigue, but if we get the flu, we end up with a lot more fatigue. And some of our MS symptoms and our other chronic disease symptoms can be a lot stronger when we're dealing with the flu. So it's really important for us to avoid the flu if at all possible. Just want to say a quick hello to a few people. Awesome, Danielle. I'm assuming you guys can all hear me, and Wanda, hello. All right, so if we haven't met yet, as I mentioned, my name is Pam Bartha, and I am the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. And why am I a bit of an expert on avoiding the flu? Well, I was a teacher for 14 years. And when you're working in the school system, there is a lot of the flu going around, a lot of different infections, stomach flus, viruses. So I was able to, even though I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 28 or 29 years ago now, and keep it in remission, I've also been able to work many years in the school system without getting the flu. Is it a guarantee to never get the flu? No, but you can greatly reduce your risk for the flu, and prevention is really the key. And then also, if the odd chance that you do get a flu, it's going to be so mild and you'll be able to blow it off a lot quicker. So in order to avoid getting the flu, I know that with our standard of care, they really recommend vaccinations. And some of us are looking for more natural ways to prevent the flu. There's lots. I'm not going to get into the vaccination issue because I'm not a doctor, but I can recommend, if you want more information, we will post it in the stream. But there's a really good video by Dr. Fred Pescatore, and he talks about some of the concerns. And he's a medical doctor, so it's nice to get his opinion on that. And he actually wrote the foreword in my book, Become a Wellness Champion. He's an incredible hero doctor. He really understands the type of work that we're doing also. So I'm going to step back a minute because some of you may not have met me before. And if you haven't yet, then you need to know that, number one, I've been able to live MS-free for the past 29 years by making sure that I treated infections in my body, chronic silent infections. And I teach other people how to do the same thing. So there are wellness champions that have taken my course. There's wellness champions that are starting my course right now. And there is a ton of research to show and verify that when we have not just MS, but other chronic disease, that it's stemming from chronic infections in the body. And if you haven't seen any of my work, go, and I've got a 5 or 6-part series on infections and multiple sclerosis. But the honest truth is that we may have different types of infections in different locations of the body, but really chronic disease is stemming from infections in the body. That's the biggest reason. Yes, there's environmental factors we have to address also, but infections are really the biggest cause of the symptoms of chronic disease. So if we have, let's say, multiple sclerosis, and we have these infections, and you've been following my work and you know about those huge parasitic worms, right? I have to share with you that we just did our coaching call yesterday, and it's like we're having a contest to see who can pass the biggest worm, and the biggest worm is about 1.5 feet now that my students have been passing. Really crazy, like the students are shocked. It's like the sicker we are, the more infested we are with big parasitic worms, and that's what I'm seeing in my students. And yes, we have different sizes of parasites. Some of them are so small we can't see them. Some could be in our red blood cell, like Babesia. That's very common with MS. There could be these tiny little parasitic worms in the central nervous system, yes. But you have to think about it that when we have these big and small parasites, and we have an overgrowth of fungus in our body, and we have Lyme disease, we've got different bacterial infections, then normally in that state, our immune system is really, really suppressed, right? It is maxed. It is taxed to the max, and it is really struggling. So then when we end up being exposed to different things like viruses, then we are more susceptible to getting the flu. And we have to understand that. So in order to avoid the flu, for us just to take a vaccine and think that's going to work for us, many of us have seen that that is just not a really great option. We really have to, number one, in the long term, correct those microbes in our body, build our body up. But there are some little things that I can share with you that are really helpful that you could implement as you're getting into the flu season. But first of all, I just wanted to share that, yes, it's important to exercise and eat right and make sure that we get enough sleep. It's so important, sleep. If we don't have enough sleep, our immune system just is not going to deal with infections very well. And yes, washing your hands, like when I was in the school district, you know, washing your hands for, I think it was like 18 seconds you had to count, but you have to wash them often enough. That's important. But honestly, we still can be exposed to getting the flu. So I'm going to talk about first just some little helpful things that have been kind of my trade secrets that have gotten me through when I was teaching, because you are exposed daily to children with snotty noses and sick and coughing on you. So how did I avoid the flu? Number one, I followed this eating plan, the Live Disease-Free eating plan for sure. So taking out all processed carbs for sure. That's the biggest thing. Get rid of the processed carbs. And then what we do in this eating plan is we reduce the carbs down to below 50 grams per day, and we have lots of vegetables. So it's lots of nutrition, enough animal protein to keep your muscle mass to feel good. And it depends if you're a guy in construction or if you're somebody who sits like me behind the computer all the time. I did go for a nice hour-and-a-half walk today, which was awesome. Got a lot of fresh air, but activity is important. But the eating plan is so important because think about it. If you have chronic disease and you are feeding those infections, they're producing all these chemicals that I've shared in some of my masterclass trainings. Just one of them is there's these little enzymes that they produce. For example, Candida. It can produce an enzyme that is like a Pac-Man, and it actually eats your antibodies. So it actually suppresses your immune system and you're more susceptible to the flu. So this is why if you feed them less, even though you have them, they're going to be less active and you're going to feel better and you're going to be stronger and you're going to be able to avoid the flu. The next thing is supplements. All right. So I personally do not believe in tons and tons of high doses of supplements or IV supplements. I really believe in just adding in plant-sourced nutritional supplements, especially now because we're going into the season of pretty soon in where I live, we're going to have to buy all our produce from these large commercial grocery stores that they get their produce from large farms around the world that are harvesting the food early. So we have green harvest, and we're seeing that just the way that they're doing the farming, that there's a huge reduction in nutrition. So we want to up the nutrition. So with our eating plan, lots of veggies, the best quality we can get. Local is better, organic is better, but sometimes we can't all get all organic, and that's fine. And then just to fill in the gaps with some supplements. So you can look at the supplements I use there on my website under products. You can read up on them, but really just a plant-sourced vitamin and mineral supplement. So on my website, it's Live Disease Free, I forgot to mention. But you're looking for a plant-sourced vitamin supplement, just some basic vitamins and minerals. But if you don't know how to read labels, I did do another video that I'd love for you to go back and listen to. And that would be, I think it has to do with supplements. So just kind of look back on our YouTube channel on Live Disease Free or our Facebook channel, Live Disease Free. And I talk about how to tell the difference between supplements. So glyconutrients are one that I really like because they're something that most people have never heard of before, but they're nutrition that helps your immune system to be stronger. And it's really good for cellular communication, like how two cells talk to each other in the body, immune function, brain function, all of those things. So I definitely take some of those just as nutrition, just to keep myself strong. But honestly, my biggest secret is this: garlic. So if I'm in the flu season where people are sick all around me, and I do this periodically, is I'll take garlic and have it a couple of times a day. Sometimes it's once a day. Like if I'm teaching, I'll probably just do it once a day, like at night with my supper. I'm not teaching in the school districts anymore, but now I can do it twice a day because I'm working from home. So I'll do it at lunch and at supper. Some of my students will do this 3 times a day, and I'll tell you what we do. So we will take a clove of garlic or 2 and take a cutting board and chop it up. like basically take the skin off. So not the whole bulb, just take a clove off or two, depending on how big they are. So you chop it on a cutting board and then you put it on a spoon. So you take about a spoonful and you do that 1 to 3 times a day. Now, if you're really, really sick with multiple sclerosis, then you are going to start really slow, right? You're going to take a half a teaspoon. And this is with your meals. Never take a teaspoon of garlic on an empty stomach. I actually know of a family member who did that and she threw up because it was so hot for her. So if you start, so what we do is like when I'm making my supper, we will take some garlic and we will chop it up and then we'll put it on a spoon, one for my husband and one for me. And then we will set it off to the side, and while we're eating our supper, and actually I've heard that if you let it sit for about 10 minutes, it's actually more therapeutic. And so then we will start eating our food. So you've already put some food in your stomach, and then we will swallow the garlic. I just literally put it in my mouth and swish it down with a glass of water. I don't chew it. That way you don't have very strong breath, garlic breath. And then from there, we just continue eating. So you're sandwiching the garlic in between your food. And because garlic is hot, so this way it doesn't burn your stomach. So that's what we do. And we'll do it, like I might do it for lunchtime and supper time, a teaspoon each. If you give your spouse a teaspoon, then they cannot smell the garlic because you both have garlic breath. But it's not that bad because I would do it when I was teaching and nobody's ever complained about garlic breath. And the key is that it's chopped, it's not pressed, and you put it on the spoon and you swallow it without chewing it. All right. Yes, it's nice to put garlic on your food and to have Caesar salad, yes, etc. But this is medicine. And garlic is so incredibly helpful. It is antiviral. It is antiparasitic. I mean, not for the huge worms, but it's definitely antiparasitic. It is antibacterial. It is antifungal. And it's dirt cheap. So it's really, really awesome to have. And I personally would not just do it the whole winter long. You can do it for periods of time. So it might be a week or two that you will do it. So we have other family members that are doing this now too. And it's neat. You go to their place and there's like a teaspoon of garlic for me and for them, which is awesome. So that is so helpful. Like garlic is so powerful. It is anti-Lyme. So it's not going to, if you've had chronic Lyme for a long time, it's not going to get rid of the Lyme that's in your lymphatic system or in your white blood cells and in your central nervous system, but it's definitely going to be impacting the different microbes in your blood for sure. So it's like, I would have to say that out of all the things that I've done and used in my years of recovering from MS, like the cheapest, most helpful thing is garlic. It is something that is so dirt cheap, you can get it from the store. It lasts a long time in your cupboard. You can actually, get some from local farms and they put it in those braids and you could probably eat it all winter long or a good part of the winter, especially if they've not processed it, but dried it properly. So it's a huge help. It's like so incredibly helpful. But again, remember, all of my talks are for educational purposes. So make sure that you do not just take it let's say if you have really serious chronic disease, and we know that you have a lot of parasitic infestations. And so maybe if you take a teaspoon of garlic, you don't feel well. Like maybe this is that Herxheimer's reaction. So then you listen to your body and you don't take it. You don't just push through it. But then you start a little bit slower. You might start with just a quarter of a teaspoon with your supper. And maybe it's once a day. And you just slowly build it up. And you'll find that that is really helpful. So a lot of my students are using garlic alongside with other things. It's one of the first things they can start using to treat infections. Is garlic alone enough to treat these big worms in us? No. Is it enough to treat all of these infections? No. But it is definitely helpful for, number one, warding off the flu, the viruses, and also while we are recovering, right? So that's a really big thing. Another thing that I found helpful when I was back in the teaching day is a product called ImmunoStart. So like immune with the E cut off, O start, ImmunoStart. And you can find it again on my website, Live Disease Free, under products, and you can read up on it. And basically that or another product that has beta-glucan in it and it has colostrum in it. So this would be a supplement that gives you the colostrum is like passive immunity. It gives you some antibodies and immune properties that help to support your immune system. And then also the beta glucan is really helpful for your immune system also. So I would find that really great. So I literally would buy a bottle of that and I'd have it in my fridge. It doesn't have a long shelf life, maybe 6 months. And I'd have it in my fridge. And if my kids ever started to come down with a flu or like maybe a little bit of a cough or a runny nose, I could just tell. As a mom, you can tell. I'd give them a couple of those lozenges and tell them to bite it in half and put it under their tongue. Obviously, you have to make sure they're old enough so they don't choke. But it would just blow away, like they would not get sick, which was awesome. Because, you know, when your kids are sick, it is not a good thing. And so, because they can't, nobody wants to take your kids when they're sick and you have to work, so then you have to take time off. So it was a really great way for them. And then for myself, in the early days, before I was, you know, stronger and stronger, I could use that occasionally. But what I find with my students that are suffering with multiple sclerosis, very often that immunostart is helpful for the first month or two while they are, you know, getting ready to treat infections. So that's something, just remember, it's kind of like a passive immunity, and it is really helpful. I tried echinacea in the past, and I just didn't find it very helpful at all. So I really wouldn't recommend echinacea, especially if you're dealing with chronic disease, because it's more of an immune stimulator, and that's not something that we want to do when we're dealing with immune dysfunction, right? We're dealing with, it's almost like an overreactive immune system, but our immune system is really struggling for sure. So the garlic is definitely helpful to really prevent, and also that immunostart, if and when you need it. You don't have to use it all the time, but if you're recovering from chronic disease, it can be helpful to use it for a month or two. If you just are a healthier person, you can have it in the fridge and just like, oh my gosh, you know, I feel like I have a sore throat. You can just suck on it. And remember that it's absorbed through your mouth. So don't chew it and swallow it, because it's not going to be very effective for you. Make sure that what I used to do is bite it in half and put both halves under my tongue and just let it dissolve there. And it will really, I found in the past that it's really helpful. All right. So we talked about supplements. I'm the kind of person that likes to keep it really simple. All right. And yes, vitamin C is great. You could get some camu or another plant source. Ascorbic acid is not the full vitamin C. So if you get like a plant source vitamin C, it has a lot of different factors together that make it a lot more therapeutic and helpful. And you can have some extra lemon juice, etc. But honestly, that stuff you do like normally with your vitamin C or lemon juice on your salad, etc. But if you're needing that little extra, this is a lifesaver, garlic, and it is so dirt cheap. Have it in your house for sure. All right, and then in the long run, like how do you avoid getting the flu year after year after year? It's really in managing your microbes. That is the biggest thing. So as I mentioned, if you've been following my work, it's all about, if you have parasitic worms, getting them down to a very low concentration or completely getting rid of them. I don't know if we can totally, we probably can, but it takes months, right? It takes treating them, because there are life cycles. Some of them live for months, if not years. They can be up to 3 feet long inside of us. And yes, the people that are suffering with serious chronic disease are infested with them. I did a video called MS and Parasitic Worms. Go back and listen to the replay of that, and you can actually see some of the pictures. And as I mentioned, we had the biggest one yesterday. One of the students sent in, and it's at least 1.5 feet long. Really shocking when you're passing something like that. It's like, how is that possible in me? Seriously. So getting those large worms down, getting the other small parasites that we can't see, reducing them, getting the fungal overgrowth down. Because remember, as I said, you know, all of these different microbes, they produce all kinds of different chemicals. We know, for example, with fungus, so candida and aspergillus and different molds, and there's at least 400 different types of fungi that infect humans. So when they're living in abundance in us, they produce massive amounts of alcohol, chemicals like formaldehyde, as I mentioned, that little enzyme that eats up our antibodies, which suppresses our immune system. So when we have these chronic fungal, bacterial, and parasitic infections, they wear our immune system down. And then we are more susceptible to viruses. So viruses, I believe, are not the biggest cause of MS. I believe they are just that we would have more active viruses when your immune system is so suppressed from those other microbes. So that could be Epstein-Barr, it could be the flu, right? It could be all kinds of different mono, etc. There's lots of different viruses, and they only become a problem when our immune system is suppressed. So the key again is to build a healthy immune system. And sleep, I cannot tell you enough how important sleep is. You have to make sure that you sleep. If you need some help, sleep aids, use them. Because if you don't sleep, you not only will get the flu easier, but you will also continue to decline with your health. So again, I mentioned, it's the eating plan. It's supporting the body. These are things we do in the Live Disease-Free Academy. And right now we have a brand new group of students starting up. And in the next 3 months, I'm so excited. I'll be sharing a lot of successes with you. But some of the successes that are happening right now, we are already seeing that one lady shared that her tremors are a little bit less. Several of them have more energy. We've seen already some spasticity starting to go down, numbness starting to go down. One lady said, I'm starting to get busy in my life again. And at least, a month to 2 months ago, she was at a whole different place. It was crisis in her family and terrible multiple sclerosis. And now she is it's just like a 180 in her life. She's got a lot more work to do, but so how exciting. So if you're at that place where you're ready to take a different path and you are done with living with this disease, not just avoiding the flu, but you really, really want to get your life back. You have been researching things to death and you have tried a lot of things. You may have done stem cell, you may have done CCSVI, but if you've done a lot of things and you're at that place where it's like, Pam, I'm tired. I'm really tired of researching. I have tried so many things. I've tried so many supplements. I've got a cupboard full of supplements. I've read so many books. I've watched so many videos. Then it's time to treat the cause, which is infection. And as you treat the infection, your immune system will be stronger, and then you will naturally, that is the biggest natural way to prevent the flu, is to restore balance with those microbes in your body. To get those bad ones down, the ones that are giving you all of the disease symptoms, and to get the good ones up, because that's the longevity part of it. That's the real, and then yes, if, maybe once every 4 to 5 years, you're starting to kind of feel a little bit of symptoms, somebody's coughed on you or exposed, then you can use things like this, garlic, or things like Immunostart. But again, I haven't bought Immunostart for years because you get stronger and stronger and then you just don't need it, right? That's the key. So I'm going to go to your questions, see if there are any questions. All right, so hello, Sheila. Quite a few people have joined here. Hi, Oksana. How would you spell the Immunostart supplement? Okay, so the company, you'll see it on my website. It is Mannatech, M-A-N-N-A-T-E-C-H, but just go under products. So livediseasefree.com, under products, you can find those are the ones I've been using for 18 years. And trust me, I look all the time. So if you click on that and it's just like immune, so immune, IMMUNOSTART, Immunostart. And remember, it's not the cure, but you could take up to 4 a day and you just bite them in half, you put them under your tongue, you let them dissolve, like if it takes an hour or two, and it's absorbed under your tongue into your blood, and it really helps with your immune system. So that's what I would do. But remember that don't just eat a bunch of, and you don't, Oksana, but other people, don't just think, okay, I can pop a pill and I'm just gonna, prevent the flu naturally. It's a combination of things. But this really helps if you're doing the other things right, if you've really cut back on the sugars and reduced the carbs and up the nutrition, getting some sleep, drinking some water, eating healthy, and then you add this to it, then your immune system, and maybe a little bit of garlic, then your immune system can have a fighting chance, even if you have not recovered from MS yet. Hello, Christine. You're here finally. Yay. Janae, ready. Hi, Laura Lee. Yes, sleeping is so important. And Laura Lee, that just means you have a little bit more work to do, for sure. Absolutely. So, hi, Mia. Pam, my doctor says because MS is autoimmune, that he doesn't advise boosting your immune system because with the MS, drug, it is suppressing the immune system. So he does not want me to take supplements or boost your immune system. Okay, so I totally understand that. And so this is what I would like you to do, is I would like you to, number one, start to research this yourself. So if you follow all of my work, I show you tons and tons of proof that MS is caused by infection. So if MS is caused by infection, does it make sense to suppress your immune system? So if there's a war going on in your body, the bad guys are the infection, the good guys are your immune system, is it good to shut down your immune system? It doesn't make sense, does it? No. The problem is your doctor doesn't know it's infection, and it's coming. Like the research is there. Unfortunately, they're not getting this. So then what you have to see is, yes, it is, I don't believe in boosting your immune system for sure, but modulating your immune system is what we do. So all of these things, they modulate the immune system. So the nice thing about garlic is that it is treating some of the infections. When you're treating some of the infections, then you notice that your immune system is able to deal with things better. But it's very important to modulate. So the glyconutrients that I talked about is called ambrotose complex, and that is on my website also with those products. Ambrotose complex. The advanced ambrotose is more of an immune stimulator. I don't like that one. The complex is immune modulator. So you're absolutely right. It's good to take modulating things, right? But suppressing the immune system is not good either. Because if you lock up the soldiers in camp, then you end up, the bad guys take over more and more. And we find that people still become disabled, right? We don't get rid of our MS, we become disabled even on these drugs. And we end up usually with more diseases. Very good question. Hi, Robin. So you're so happy you were able to get things to work. I know technology is great when it works, right? Hello, Allison. Garlic and Immunostart. Yes, they are helpful. They are a couple of things that just, well, this is like a therapy of killing bad microbes. And then as far as the Immunostart, it's more like just supporting your body. And I know it says Immunostart and it sounds like it might be revving up, but it is not. We found it really, really helpful. Hi, Allison, and hi, Nancy and Janet, Janae. You are so welcome. Yes, that's right. All right, and hello, Megs. See if there's any last questions. So Janae, multiple sclerosis is attacking my nervous system horribly, and I need the name of the starter supplement again. So just remember that, Janae, that I'm talking about preventing the flu naturally. So if you take Immunostart, it's not going to be enough on its own. Just remember that. That is like, first, go through my videos and stop eating the sugars, start to change your eating plan. I've had a lot of people just listen to my free videos and it's been life-changing for them. And then they're like, okay, Pam, now I'm ready to treat those infections. I want my life back. So it's really important to implement those. And then the Immunostart added on with that, you will notice a difference. It's helpful. And I said this is even more helpful, the garlic. So I mentioned it's Immuno, so I-M-M-U-N-O, start, S-T-A-R-T. All right, no problem, Tracy. We're still here. Hi, Jean, Patty, Tracy. So this is not as long of a video. I just wanted to give you this information because we are heading into the flu season and we don't want to be caught, right? We don't want to be caught like in the middle of the flu and really sick. And some of us really don't want to do the flu shot, right? Because we've heard a lot of negative things, and it is very important for you to become educated on the flu shot. I'm not the person to educate you because I'm not a doctor. As I mentioned, Dr. Fred Pescatore, he really raises a lot of good things to think about and to talk about, and we will be posting that in this feed also. And then if you want to prevent it, then just start to implement. Watch my free stuff for sure. Watch all my videos. Implement all that you can. You will notice a difference for sure. Then you can start implementing things like garlic, and you can do the Immunostart, and you can do plant source nutritional supplements. But honestly, if you want to really live, and yes, of course, you can avoid the flu too, you got to treat those infections. You've got to get rid of those big, nasty worms. I am going to do another update soon because this is so new. And I'm going to be sharing some more pictures of what the students are passing. So we know that with MS, it is a lot of different infections. It's a syndrome of infections. And if you need a step-by-step plan to treat those infections, because that's really how I've been able to live MS-free for 29 years, that's how people are recovering, then what you do is watch my masterclass training, and it's about an hour and a half plus Q&A at the end. And it really explains all of these infections, and it gives you a lot of case studies of people that have recovered. Then if you're ready, if you're at that place, you're like, I want to finish this year off really strong. I want next year to be for me. I want to have my Christmas present early so that by the time I get to Christmas, I feel like a different person. Then make sure to reach out to me after you watch that training, because then you will know how you'll have the plan, and I'll be able to chat with you if you have any questions. You'll be able to start immediately. We have lots of people that started even last weekend. Probably about 7 students started just over the weekend. Brand new class getting started. Super excited to support them. So I'll just see if there's any last questions. Oh, yes, we have more. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Veronica. Yes, absolutely. You don't want Crystal to be, because Crystal is recovering from MS. So in the program, you have all of this, plus make sure the garlic is really good too. But we want to make sure for her that you just don't overdo it with the garlic, because she's very, very disabled. So hi, Lori and Chris, and hello, Sheila. You smash the garlic with a big knife and then you peel it. Yes. So yes, you can totally smash it. I'm just saying that for people that are, working out in the public and they're like, oh, I'm afraid of garlic, smell, but it's totally fine to smash it. But yes. Oh, so you smash it with a knife and then you peel it. So yes, it's easier to peel that way for sure. You can just kind of push on it a little bit. It's just that if people are like really pressing it, or maybe you use that zester grater and you just make it into like a paste, then when you're eating it that way, we have a lot stronger of a garlic breath. It's still really therapeutic. I'm thinking that when we chop it up on the spoon and it's not totally pressed, then I think that it has an opportunity to kind of spread around in the GI tract and hit the parasites more. If we just would leave it like I know people that have said, oh, I just swallowed the whole, not the bulb, the clove. If you take a little piece off, that's a clove. I just swallowed the whole thing whole, but then it just kind of goes through and comes out, and it doesn't really help you. But when you chop it up and you put it on a spoon, then it's easier that way to take, but also that way, as those little pieces move around in the gut, it will hit the different parasites and fungus more. It'll move around more, which is awesome. It's totally fine to smash it. It had more to do with, like, the more we press it, the more the smell comes out, and some people don't want to have really strong garlic smell. So if you find that it's not a problem, it's not a problem at all. It's not gonna harm the therapeutic part. And Sheila is somebody who's done amazing. So Lori Ann Martin, hello. Hi, Veronica and Robin. Okay, so you've been smashing your garlic so that you can get the peel ends off. Yes, the peel ends off. Absolutely, that's totally fine. And then you chop it up. That's totally fine. And hi, Angela. And hi, Mia. My immune system is being suppressed, absolutely, with the drugs. And that's the problem, is that that's not the answer. And you're going to see that in time. So it's you're the only one who can change this. You've got to research this yourself. The sooner you start treating the infections, the sooner, as people are recovering, they're getting off of those immunosuppressive drugs. And then the infections are no longer suppressing their immune system. And then they feel better than they have in years and years. Is there a dose for children with Immunostart? I always, with things, I would just cut things down. So if the child is about this quarter of a size of an adult, then you would give them a quarter of the dose. With Immunostart, like with people that are dealing with cancer, they can suck on a lozenge, putting it under the tongue, every hour. It would just be expensive, but they can do it. There's no harm in it at all. So I would find that the kids, you maybe take, remember, it could be a choking hazard, so the child has to be old enough. But maybe take a half of one and break it into 2 pieces, or just whatever you think that they're not going to choke, and just tell them to put it under their tongue and let them suck on it, and it would just blow away a sore throat really well. And I did also give them the plant source kids supplement. So there's Mana Bears, etc., that I would also give them. Hi, Maureen. But it's really neat because my son, who's now 22 years old, when I learned about the plant source nutritional supplements and I started giving that to him, he never missed school. He never got, like, he might get a runny nose for a day or two, in school, but he could still go to school. It was very minimal. But before that, he was just like a typical child where, they get the flu and they get the high fever and they're home and they're sick and they're miserable. So I would give them the gummy bears. There were glyco bears, but now they just have the Mana Bears, which are like vine ripened fruits and vegetables in a little gummy form. And then also just the Immunostart when needed, right? And I found that he did not get sick anymore. Now he's 22 and he has never been on antibiotics, which is amazing. Hi, Liz. Yes, Immunostart from Manatech. You can find them on my website, Live Disease Free, under products. Hi, Mia. You can't sleep, and you do, as far as a sleep aid, you could do something like, it's called Nital, but it's the same. Benadryl, plain Jane Benadryl is the same thing. I'm just starting to learn more and more about the different types of antihistamines, and I'm finding that Benadryl is probably not the cleanest antihistamine that we could possibly use for sleeping and also for sedating the worms when we're treating them. Clemastine, Clemastine, fumarate. That one I found is a little bit cleaner. That's the one they used for the MS study where they actually saw a little bit of remyelination when they gave people, I think it was 3 months of high doses of clemastine. So I'm not saying please don't just go out and buy antihistamines and take a high dose. That's not good for you. We would be using that in, like, as we are, stop feeding the infection, support the body, look at the, do we have parasite symptoms? And if we do, which it looks like MS patients have, or people that suffer with MS are loaded with parasites, parasitic worms, big and small, then yes, we might use the antihistamine to kind of dope up the parasites while we are treating them to make them less active so we have less reactions. And we're seeing this when they're giving people treatments of Ocrevus or Tysabri. They're giving people a big shot of Benadryl at first, not knowing exactly why it's helping with, reducing reactions, but that's why, basically, for sure. So for sleep aid, things that I use for sleep aid, Mia, is, or for what I recommend for the students would be, if you need something stronger, it would be an antihistamine. One of the first generation antihistamines, those are the ones that are going to be more of a sedating, so they will make you sleepy, and using those at night. But then you can also not just use that at night, but you could also use other things if you, let's say, maybe you're not dealing with that much insomnia. Things like valerian root, which is a herb, and also melatonin. Melatonin is great, but melatonin you take earlier in the night, right? You wouldn't be taking it at 3 o'clock, etc. Some people wake up at 3. Then you might take something like valerian. And I heard that you can't mix valerian and melatonin. No, yes, valerian and melatonin are not good to mix together. They might make you more awake. So you just have to know what you're doing. And that's what we do in the program, is we really help people to make sure they're doing things properly and safely. But it's really important to sleep. If you don't sleep, it's going to make the infection stronger. It's going to make you more susceptible to the flu, and it's not a good thing. But having insomnia is really common with people that suffer with MS. Hello, Stephanie. All right, just see if I have last couple of questions. So you're getting your dose next month of Ocrevus. So Janae, I hope you understand that Ocrevus is chemotherapy. I hope you know that. And it's wiping out your B cells, which are your immune cells, which you need. You need your immune system to protect you from all types of infections. So in time, we're going to see that this was not a very good treatment, because they don't know that MS is caused by infections. And if they did, I don't think they'd be giving it, because you don't suppress the immune system when you're dealing with a lot of infections. That's a big important thing, but they don't know that. So this is where, Janae, you're the only one who can change things. You need to really research this, and you need to get on a different path, a path that the wellness champions are on that have recovered, like myself. And is silver any help with MS? Veronica, I personally wouldn't use silver because on its own, it's not enough. And the problem is if you have to take a lot of it over time, that it builds up in the body and people can get this bluish gray color complexion. So using it short term, let's say somebody has a terrible plugged sinuses. Yes, using it that way. Maybe somebody has a rash in their mouth. Maybe they have a rash on their skin. But just short term, it's really great that way. Or maybe a sore throat and you're gargling with it for a day or two. But I wouldn't use it like treating the infections in the gut. It's not going to be strong enough to get to that area. And again, if you're taking it for years and years and building up silver, silver is not the worst heavy metal as far as toxic, but who wants to look gray for the rest of their life, or blue? It's not worth the risk. And yes, I know that the proper type of colloidal silver will be less likely. You will definitely have to use a lot more of it, but we just don't know enough about how much, and also with the quality of what you're buying. So I personally would not use it long term. All right, so Harry, you're not on any meds for MS. You're just wondering what is the best thing for dizziness. Again, treat the cause, Harry. It's really important to treat the cause. So if you're looking to treat symptoms, they'll give you some drugs that may or may not help with symptoms a little bit. But the problem is that symptoms will continue to become more and more symptoms and stronger symptoms. People become disabled on these drugs, all the disease modifiers. None of them stop it. So if you treat the infections that are causing the dizziness, then your dizziness will go away. People get their balance back. Women who haven't worn heels for 10 years wear their heels again. So that is what you have to focus on. And if this is the first time you've seen me or heard of me, make sure I've got a ton of free stuff on YouTube and on Facebook, Live Disease Free. I have a channel on YouTube. And also, if you're at that place, Harry, where you've done a lot of research and you've watched my stuff, then reach out to me if you're ready. If you're ready to take your life back and treat the infections. All right. And Margaret, hello. So Maureen, garlic raw only, is cooking it? So that's a really good question. If you cook it, it definitely does not have the same therapeutic value. So chef has an item that will remove, sorry, I don't know what that means. All right, so hello, Allison. Okay, what about roasted garlic? Roasted garlic is delicious. It's like a paste and you can put it on bread. Not that we're eating bread in this eating plan, we don't. But it has really nice flavor, but it doesn't have the medicinal properties. So when we're taking it, chopping it, and putting it on a spoon, that is like medicine. And we're doing that, 1 to 3 times a day as tolerated. If you're super sick and weak, you start with a little bit with your meal and you can increase it. And if you feel worse, you stop, then it's too much. But most people tolerate it quite well, and you can take it 1 to 3 times a day. If you're eating pizza, having beer, and taking raw garlic, it's not going to do anything. Just be aware of that. It's not an end-all be-all cure, but if you're doing the right things, it's definitely a help. So Sarah, you're eating blueberries, or is that too much sugar? So if you are following the eating plan, make sure to go back and watch my videos on what I eat and on the eating plan. I think there's at least 2 videos that I have. But we have a very small serving of fruit first thing in the morning. So if it's berries, yes, it would be like 1/4 of a cup on an empty stomach, if that. Some people like to just not have any fruit, so that's up to you. But some people, while they're treating the infections, they like to just back off the fruit. That's right. Way to go, Allison. You got it. And Melissa. Okay, so Melissa, Allison shared it with you. I think that's it. Elderberry syrup, which is good to prevent the flu. So this is where you have to be really careful, Jeanette, is that elderberry syrup, if it's from a company, it's processed. It may not have any antioxidants or vitamin C left. If it's raw berries that you picked, vine ripened, that you have in your freezer from the summer, yes, it's loaded with nutrition. But as soon as a company takes it and they cook it and they usually add preservatives to it and they add sugar to it. It's something that I would not take, right? So there's all these different juice blends, etc., that may have no nutritional value at all. A lot of the juices, what they'll do is they will take, let's say, elderberry, which is normally something that may have high antioxidants or certain, maybe vitamin C, for example. And then they will process it because they have to. They have to pasteurize it and process it and put it in jars. But in order to be able to list what's in it, they actually add vitamin C back. And so they'll say, you know, so many milligrams of vitamin C. And they'll call it ascorbic acid. And that is not from the juice, from the berry, that is added in. All right, so this is where I personally don't believe in a lot of these juices, like unless it's your own that you have, you know, just processed and frozen without cooking it and heating it, etc., which is probably not the case. What other than Immunostart was it? Garlic. Those were the two. And like I said, there's tons and tons of things you can buy, but I'm the kind of person that's minimalistic. I don't believe in a lot of, you know, tons and tons of things. So anything with echinacea, I have not found it. Echinacea can only be helpful right when you're starting to get a sore throat. But if it's been bugging you for a little while, it is not really effective. And echinacea will rev up your immune system, and that's not good for autoimmune. And we're kind of talking around autoimmune here. So that's why I don't like echinacea. But yes, vitamin C, you know, and all the fresh herbs, etc., are great. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go. I think I've answered most of your questions here. So what I'd like to share with you again is that if you've just found me and you are like, okay, we're going into flu season, I do not want the flu, watch Dr. Pescatori's video and then decide if that's, you know, you want to do the flu shot or not. And if you don't want to, I've got a ton of free videos, start to implement. Just even Kimberly joined the Academy just on the weekend or just before the weekend, and she had already 5 or 7 improvements in her symptoms just by listening to my free stuff. But now she's like, okay, that was great. I see it works. Now I want to go after them. I want to start to treat the infections. So if you're at that place, make sure to watch my masterclass training. And then if you're ready, I explain everything, what we do and all of that. If you're ready, reach out to me. You can start in the next few days. You can start taking your life back, and in 3 months, you'll be at a whole different place with your health. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Next week, I'm not going to be here because I have another meeting that I can't get out of, so I won't be here. But I will be back the following week, all right? So, and for the Canadians, I just want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to be enjoying it with my family, and I'm not going to be eating a lot of bad food. We've already got the whole menu laid out, and there's lots and lots of healthy options. And I don't know if I've done a video on that, but I'm pretty sure that I have like different ideas for healthy types of recipes for the holidays. Go ahead and look through that, through the videos. If not, I will be doing another one again, because I know that our friends in the United States are having their holiday pretty soon here too. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that what I've shared with you helps you. You really can avoid the flu naturally. You really can. But number one, it takes a strong immune system. And number two, it takes just some supplements that are really helpful, and they don't have to cost a lot. So garlic is amazing. Listen to your body. Don't just pump it in there if you're not feeling well. Go low and slow. And then the Immunostart is another added, and of course the natural vitamin C. But really, the biggest thing is to get your microbes back in balance, and then you can go for years without the flu. And you don't have to worry about the flu shot, right? Then it's like, I don't even need to consider it. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Take care and bye-bye for now.